Hello, folks. This is Jacob Harkey. It is February 16th, 2024, and I am here to share an update about the Jane Doe v. Religious Technology Center case. Now, if you caught the stream that I did a couple of days ago on Valentine's Day, I indicated that I was going to be going to the court this morning so that I could report on the hearing that was supposed to be happening today. Well, as you can see, I'm not outside the courthouse. I'm still at home. And the reason for that is that the hearing that was supposed to be held today was actually pushed back. So, for those who may not have seen my last few streams, just to give a quick recap of what was supposed to be happening today there was supposed to be a hearing on the motion to compel arbitration in the Jane Doe v. Religious Technology Center case. So, as a quick recap, the Jane Doe v. Religious Technology Center case. This is a case about Jane Doe, who is an ex Scientologist and ex Sea Org member who has alleged that she was brought into Scientology's Sea organization as a minor, and her recruiter, Gavin Potter, essayed her while she was underage, and she was then forced by Scientology into a marriage with Gavin Potter. So that's what she is suing over. She's suing Gavin Potter, Religious Technology Center, Church of Scientology International, as well as David Miscavige. There have been several attempts in the last few months to serve David Miscavige, and as of yet, the court has not officially ruled that David Miscavige has been served, but that's another thing that we'll be keeping an eye on. In the meantime, though, today's hearing was supposed to be about the motion filed by the defendants to compel arbitration. And of course, like every lawsuit that's been filed against the Church of Scientology in recent years, Scientology has done everything in their power to take the agreements that the ex-Scientologists, in instances where ex-Scientologists file lawsuits against Scientology, Scientology will take the contracts that have been filed or signed by those ex-Scientologists that they will never sue the church, that they may not take up any grievances with Scientology with an attorney. So that's what the subject of today's hearing was supposed to be about. And I was really interested to see how it was going to go. But the hearing was moved from today to March 26th. To be honest, I wasn't too upset about that because, as some of you may have caught me mention, I did do a show last night with Laura FM, which was a lot of fun. Thank you to those of you who made it out for that. I saw Serge Del Mar, his husband Michael, as well as Hollywood Aja was in the chat. It was excuse me, not in the chat, in the audience. So that was a lot of fun. But anyway, what I did want to take a moment to look at while I'm on here is the tentative ruling that was posted by the judge just a couple of days ago. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. I will say hi to some people who have joined me in the chat really quick first, though. See, O Susie Q says, "Hey Jacob." Hey, O Susie Q. Thank you for being here. Anthony Powell says, "We love you, Jacob from Iowa." Thank you for being here. I love to see the fans from Iowa. Super Pup, nice emojis. Thank you. I love SPTV says, "Jacob, thank you for doing these. I'm enjoying your content. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here." Selena Kamar, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, says, "Hey, new here. Thank you for being here, Selena." My Tony puts a lot of nice emojis in there. That's awesome. Lexi Evans says, "So to confirm, has it been ruled that DM was served? I think you mentioned it, but I missed that." He has been served in the Leah Remini v. Scientology case, not in the Jane Doe v. Religious Technology Center case. That was the Jane Doe v. Religious Technology Center case is the case that was supposed to have a hearing today. And in that case, David Miscavige has still not been ruled successfully served. In the Leah Remini v. Scientology case, he has been officially served. Sorry about the confusion there. I know that it can be tricky to keep track of what's going on in which case, but I hope that clears it up. And then GDGM says, "Hi, Jacob. Thank you for all the work you do." Of course. CC says, "Thank you." Of course. Dustin Fountain says, "Watching from Clearwater." You've been really avid in joining these chats, Dustin. I appreciate you being here as always. Fluffer Squirrel UK says, "Sending appreciation from over the Ducky Pond." I love to see it. That's awesome. I love SPTV. Yep, we see Lexi. It is not served yet, but the judge has warned him to knock off the hiding. So my understanding is that that is what Judge Randolph Hammock said in a hearing. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? But in a recent hearing in Leah Remini's case, he has officially been served in Leah Remini's case, not in Jane Doe v. RTC. But we'll keep an eye on that for sure. Clorette Lensman says, hello, Jacob, watching from South Africa. Thank you for being here. And Lexi Evans says, oh, okay. I wonder if the Jane Doe judge will adopt what the Leah R judge has done. I certainly hope so. But thank you for everybody who is joining me in the chat. And now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to share my screen so that I can take a look at the tentative ruling that was posted regarding the hearing, which was going to be happening today. So again, for those of you who are new, I'm not an attorney, so I don't want to be given the impression that I necessarily have a super clear understanding of every little piece of legal jargon that's being referenced in here, but I want to do my best to read through the tentative ruling that the judge has posted and try to make sense of what's being discussed here. So, like I said, this is the order regarding the defendant's motion to compel arbitration, because of course, the defendants in this case, Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, and Religious Technology Center, joined by defendant Gavin Potter, none of them want this case to go to trial or to continue to have hearings in a courtroom. They would rather this entire case be thrown out and just forced into Scientology's internal justice procedure, which will enable Scientology to have all of the power in the matter. So I'll go ahead and start reading through what the judge wrote regarding what was supposed to be happening today. Defendants Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, and Religious Technology Center, joined by defendant Gavin Potter, collectively defendants, filed the pending motion to compel arbitration on September 18, 2023, moving the court for an order compelling plaintiff Jane Doe, plaintiff, to submit all the claims alleged in her second amended complaint to binding arbitration. The court notes several issues with the papers filed by the parties. First, plaintiff's opposition brief does not comply with California Rules of Court, Rule 3.1113. And then there's a quote, except in a summary judgment or summary adjudication motion, no opening or responding memorandum may exceed 15 pages. And that's from the California Rules of Court, Rule 3.1113, Subdivision D. Plaintiff's memorandum of points and authorities in opposition to defendant's motion is nearly 20 pages in length and therefore violates Rule 3.1113. And there's another citation there. So that's one issue that the judge is raising here, is that the opposition brief filed by the Jane Doe's legal team in response to Scientology's motion to compel arbitration is too long in that it exceeds 15 pages, and that violates this rule that's laid out here. The specifics of what else is laid out in that rule, I certainly am no expert on any of this, but that's my understanding of what I'm seeing in this paragraph. Moving on. Second, the application to file certain exhibits and declaration paragraphs under seal filed with the court on February 8th, 2024 by defendants Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, and Religious Technology Center does not comply with California Rules of Court, Rule 2.551. And then there's another quote here. A party requesting that a record be filed under seal must file a motion or an application for an order sealing the record. The motion or application must be accompanied by a memorandum and a declaration containing facts sufficient to justify the sealing. And that's from California Rules of Court, Rule 2.551, Subdivision B1. Further, the party requesting that a record be filed under seal must lodge it with the court under D when the motion or application is made, unless good cause exists for not lodging it or the record has been previously lodged. And then another little citation there. Defendants Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, and Religious Technology Center's application is not accompanied by a memorandum and a declaration containing facts to justify the sealing, and 2, does not state that the records to be sealed have been lodged with the court. The application, therefore, does not comply with Rule 2.551. Now, I have some comments to make there about what I think is being referenced, but what I think I'm going to do is finish reading through the order real quick, and then come back and make a few comments to see if I can make sense of what's being discussed there. The court therefore exercises its discretion to continue the hearing on defendant's motion to compel arbitration in order 1. To give plaintiff an opportunity to file an amended opposition memorandum that complies with California Rules of Court 3.1113, and 2. To give defendants an opportunity to file a revised application to seal that complies with California Rules of Court Rules 2.550, 2.551. And getting into the order, the court orders that the hearing on defendants Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, and Religious Technology Center, and joined by defendant Gavin Potter's motion to compel arbitration is continued from February 16th, 2024 to March 26th, 2024 at 10 a.m. The court orders plaintiff Jane Doe to file an amended memorandum of points and authorities in opposition to the motion to compel arbitration, that does not exceed 15 pages, no later than March 7th, 2024. The court orders that defendants Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, Religious Technology Center, and Gavin Potter may file amended memoranda of points and authorities in support of their reply to the motion to compel arbitration no later than March 15th, 2024. The parties may not file additional evidence in connection with the motion to compel arbitration. The court sets defendants Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, and Religious Technology Center's application to seal for hearing on March 26th, 2024 at 10 o'clock a.m. in Department 53. The court orders defendants Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, and Religious Technology Center to file an amended application to seal no later than February 28th, 2024. The court orders that the case management conference is continued from February 16th, 2024 to March 26th, 2024 at 10 o'clock a.m. The court orders defendants Church of Scientology International, Bridge Publications Incorporated, and Religious Technology Center to give notice of this ruling. It is so ordered. All right, so I want to talk for a moment to make sense of some of what is happening here. So what I'll go ahead and do, I'll scroll up just a little bit to talk for a moment about what was mentioned a little bit up here regarding the application for seal that was filed by the Church of Scientology International and the other defendants. So my read on what may be being discussed here is that some of the discovery that Jane Doe's legal team was looking to get into after they were authorized to move forward with conducting limited discovery related to the arbitration agreement that Jane Doe signed into. Scientology does not want that to become public, and that's why this application to seal was filed. I think that's my best guess about what's being discussed here. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a moment, and I hope that what I just said made sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back up for a minute and just give a reminder about what happened in this case in December. So in December, I attended a hearing on December 13th, along with Alexa Nicholas from Eat Predators. And what happened in that hearing was that Jane Doe's legal team had filed a motion urging the court to allow her legal team to conduct limited discovery materials specifically relating to the situations and circumstances that led up to Jane Doe signing her arbitration agreement. And what that would have included was conversations between Jane Doe and her ethics officer, Julian Swartz, and as well as maybe potentially conversations that were recorded from auditing sessions that may have appeared in her pre-clear folders that all Scientologists have containing all of those recorded auditing sessions. And when the judge ruled that her legal team would be allowed to move forward with conducting limited discovery, that ruling included conversations involving Julian Swartz. So my guess, my best guess, based on what I'm seeing in this tentative ruling, is that Jane Doe's legal team has been looking into or conducting limited discovery pertaining to the situations and circumstances that led up to Jane Doe signing into the arbitration agreement. And that may have involved Jane Doe's legal team looking to get into Jane Doe's pre-clear folders. And if you remember, for those of you who may have seen the video that I did on Valentine's Day, I looked at some of the contracts that are available on Jeffrey Augustyn's website, the Scientology Money Project, where I looked in some detail at the documents that all Scientologists are forced to sign. One of those documents is an agreement that you do not own your pre-clear folders. So your pre-clear folders that you have as a Scientologist that contain all of your recorded auditing sessions and all of that sort of information is not something that you as a Scientologist get to access yourself. That belongs to the Church of Scientology. So my guess is that Scientology has filed this motion for materials from this lawsuit to be kept under seal so that if Jane Doe's legal team is successfully able to bring files from her pre-clear folder into the lawsuit, that won't become public because Church of Scientology does not want it to become public. So there's these issues that the judge has brought up with motions that have been filed by both sides. The issue with what's been filed by Jane Doe's legal team is apparently that there's a rule that motions of that nature cannot exceed 15 pages in length, and her legal team has filed a motion that's almost 20 pages in length. And then the issue with what was filed by Church of Scientology is that the motion for seal has not been accompanied by a memorandum and a declaration containing facts to justify the sealing, and two, does not state that the records to be sealed have been lodged with the court, and the application therefore does not comply with Rule 2.551. Now, I'm sure that there are attorneys out there that could certainly give potentially a more thorough explanation of what all of that means, but I've done my best to help it make sense, help us all make sense of it. I hope that I am making sense to the best of my ability. So that's essentially the bulk of the update that I wanted to share today. Like I said, I was out last night with Laura FM after the show that we did in Los Angeles, which was a lot of fun. I had initially told her that I would be in the LA area in the morning for the hearing that I was planning to attend, but of course, because that was moved back to next month, I am still home, so I'm not in LA as early as I'd hoped, but I am still planning to head up there so that I can meet up with Laura and meet up with DOA and other members of the Squirrel Squad so that we can have some fun out on the Scientology, or well, out on the LA streets tonight. We'll see where we end up. I know that La Poubelle has been the location most of them have been winding up at lately, so maybe that'll be the move, but I'll certainly keep you all updated about where I end up with regard to all of that later on today. What I'll go ahead and do now, I'm going to go ahead and look back at the chat to see who else we've got in here. I see that Meditating with Love says, thank you for the legal updates. Of course. Yeah, I hope I'm making sense here. I'm doing the best I can. My Tony says, revoke Scientology's tax-exempt status. I am right there with you. I would love to see that happen, as would many of the folks who are in this chat, I'm sure. Fluffer Squirrel UK says, hit the like to help the algorithm and show support to Jacob. Yes, thank you for the reminder there, Fluffer Squirrel UK. If you are watching this video and you have not given it a like yet, that would be much appreciated. And if you are not subscribed, I would appreciate all the new subscribers that I can get as well. Thank you. Dustin Fountain says, you said clear, haha. You know, it's true. There are some words now that have definitions in the real world and then also definitions in Scientology. And it's sometimes hard for me to hear those words without the Scientology context now. So clear is definitely one that falls into that category. Thank you for pointing that out. Tampa B Man says, so glad I didn't miss this. I'm so glad you didn't miss it as well. Thank you for being here, Tampa B Man. You've been another regular in the chat. It's good to see you again. Wolf Machine says, I hope Leah's attorneys can tell Jane Doe's attorneys where to find little Davy. Well, I hope that the precedent that's been set now in Leah Remini's case is able to carry over to some of these other cases so that David Miscavige can be declared served and potentially get deposed in all these cases. That would be really awesome. I do hope so. My Tony says, Fluffer, yes, let's smash that like button. Smash away, everyone. That's right. Thank you for the reminders in the chat. I appreciate it. Crystal says, hi, y'all. Hi, Crystal. Jane Gonzalez says, hi. Hi, Jane. We got another frequent flyer in here. Hillary Murphy says, it's torture how slowly these cases can move with delays. Oh, believe me, I know what you mean. And that's really been the case with the Bixler v. Scientology lawsuit. Remember, that civil lawsuit was filed back in 2019. And of course, part of the reason that that case was on pause for a few years was because of the Danny Masterson criminal trial. So, Bixler v. Scientology, that's not the case that I was supposed to attend a hearing for today. Bixler v. Scientology, I attended a hearing for on Tuesday. And like I said, that case was originally filed with the court on or in 2019, but because of Danny Masterson's criminal trial, that case was put on pause for a few years. Now that the criminal trial is complete, Danny Masterson is in prison. The civil case is moving forward once again, and thankfully, I was glad to see that the judge in that case kind of acknowledged in the hearing, look, this case was filed several years ago. He doesn't want to give the defendants too much time to continue to be able to brief tentative rulings and continue to hem and haw. Seems to me, I'm getting the impression that he wants to move things along, which I was glad to see. I was glad to see the way that he spoke in that regard in the hearing on Tuesday. So that's another case that I'll be keeping an eye on that we'll hopefully be able to see move hopefully more quickly rather than slowly, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anonymous in Battle Creek says, "Hey Jacob, good to see you." Hey, Anonymous in Battle Creek, thanks for joining it. Glad you made it in to the live chat this time. Crystal says, "Agreed, Hillary." Crystal says, "KR reports maybe." So I'm assuming that you're talking here about what the Church of Scientology and other defendants in this case may have been looking to keep under seal, and if they were looking to keep her pre-clear folders under seal or materials that came out of her pre-clear folders that Jane Doe's legal team was looking to conduct discovery on, I would imagine that knowledge reports, KRs, could definitely be in there. And for those who are watching who may not be super well versed in all of the Scientology lingo, yeah, KR stands for knowledge report. And there's very much a snitch culture in Scientology that if you or another Scientologist that you know is doing anything that would be considered out ethics or not right in Scientology, the expectation is that you and everybody who knows about this out ethics act would have to write up a report on the act. And there is definitely a chance that if there were knowledge reports that were written either by or about Jane Doe, that this is something that her attorneys would want to be able to bring in if they were relevant to the circumstances that led up to her signing into her arbitration agreement. So yes, I'd say that that's a very good theory. There definitely may be KR reports included in her pre-clear folder that her attorneys, or excuse me, that Scientology's attorneys are looking to keep out of the lawsuit. DS says, "Good afternoon, sweetie," at Jacob Harkey. Thank you for being in here, DS. Always good to see you in here. And my Tony says, "Jacob, I'm digging the SPTV shirt. Legal news in style. Looking good." Yeah, thank you very much. This is a shirt that was given to me by Lara FM. Looks like the microphone is covering a little bit right now, so I'll stand up so you can see it. And it even says Lara FM on the bottom of the S&P. I'm not sure how well you were able to see that, but I'll make sure you can. One moment. There it is, Lara FM. It was hard for me to find it for a moment because I'm looking at my screen and I'm looking at a backwards image of myself. So when I hold up my right hand, it looks to me like it's the left hand on the screen. But thank you for pointing that out, my Tony. I appreciate it. And thank you for being here. Are you gelling? Am I pronouncing that correctly? I hope so. You got some emojis in there. Thank you for being in here. My Tony is also saying hey to RUG Ellen. Looks like we've got some community building happening in the chat, which I always love to see. Crystal says, "Stay safe tonight." Thanks, Jacob. Yes, I'm going to do my best. There have been more and more instances of Squirrel Squad members having to look out for each other and make sure that we're doing what we can to keep each other safe when we are out there on the streets. So yes, I will be doing what I can to stay safe tonight. But thank you for your concern. I will do my best. I can assure you. Oh, Susie Q says, "Jacob, you're a great speaker." Thank you very much, oh Susie Q. I appreciate the compliment. I'm doing my best here. Tampa B Man says, "You definitely have the it factor for YouTube." Y'all are so kind. I appreciate all of the support in the chat. This is a great community that we are building here. CC says, "Do you have a link to last night?" If you go to Lara FM's channel, Lara FM was live streaming last night. I wasn't streaming on my channel, but You can find it on Lara's channel. It was also, if I'm not mistaken, Serge Del Mar and his husband Michael were also both streaming it. I'm pretty sure. At least I saw Michael in the audience with two phones while Serge was on stage. So I assumed, although I didn't double check, that he was streaming to his own channel as well as Serge's channel. But I do know for sure Lara FM put the show last night on her channel. So if you want to check it out there, yeah, I would definitely encourage it. I'm definitely still getting the hang of being comfortable on stage with singing and playing my guitar, but we're getting there. And Lara has been very gracious to me in inviting me to be on her shows, which I've been having a lot of fun doing, even if it is a bit of a step outside of my comfort zone. But yeah, if you want to check out the show, I would appreciate that, and I'm sure Lara would as well. She was as well. She was doing a great job last night. I was doing my best to keep up with the songs and keep up with everything. Definitely feel like I could have benefited from a little bit more rehearsal, but you know, sometimes that's just how it goes. Sometimes we got to roll with the punches and do what we can with the amount of practice that we do have. But in any case, it was a lot of fun. I was glad that I was able to be there. And yeah, check out Laura FM's channel and her stream from last night, which would have been February 15th, 2024. Thank you, CC. DS says, did you get your light fixed? To be honest, I actually still have not charged it again. But, oh, did I freeze up? Looked like I may have frozen up for a second there. Hope you all can still hear me okay. Right now, since the sun is still out and it's still sunny where I'm at, I've just actually got my windows open. I'm right in front of the windows in my room. So right now, the light I'm getting is just natural light. But before I do another night stream from home, I will be sure that I do plug in my light to charge. That's my bad that I haven't done that yet. But thank you for the reminder, DS. I appreciate it. Are You Jillin says, my Tony. Lots of community building happening. I love it. My Tony says, see you on the streets with more squirrels at DOA and Lara FM make good street noise. Great company at La Poubelle. LOL. Have fun. Yeah, they are. DOA and Lara FM are both a lot of fun to be out there with. They're definitely a good community of people to be out there with. I know that when I'm with them, I definitely feel safe. I think that Laura has, well, I don't want to speak for Laura, but she's told me the same, that she likes it when I'm out there with her. I think it's always nice to have a little bit of a community out there so that we're looking out for each other and we're not alone. And make sure that we're staying safe. So yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to meeting up with them in a little bit later tonight. My Tony says, Jacob. That's right. Fluffer Squirrel UK says, my Tony, I was unapologetic me, but someone made a name like mine and has been stirring, so I changed it. I've been around for ages, but didn't want to be painted with Osa troll comments. I feel you there. Yeah, unfortunately, it's always a bummer to see when those Osa trolls get their accounts going in the comments. We never love to see that, but thank you for letting us know. Now we know who you are. We know that Fluffer Squirrel UK is not OSA, but on our side. So that's awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for clarifying. And GDGM says, please take care of yourself, Jacob. Scientology is getting desperate. I don't doubt it. I'm sure that they're doing what they can to hinder all of the protesting and auditing that's been happening from continuing to move forward. But we're doing our best. There's a good community of people out there. I do what I can to not go out there alone. So once I do get out there tonight, there will be other folks out there on the street with me, but I will do what I can to take care of myself. Thank you for looking out for me, GDGM. My Tony says, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, of course. Thank you, Fluffer. Oh, Susie Q says, cool. Fluffer Squirrel UK says, it's unapologetically me that's doing it. I'm coming back stronger. Oh, so your account was unapologetic me, and then another account came out called unapologetically me, which we believe may be a troll. Interesting. Well, thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it. Are You Jellin says, yes, they were all streaming. Okay, nice. Yeah, so Lara FM, literally Michael, or literally Serge. Those are all YouTube channels where you should be able to find a stream of the show from last night if you want to check up on that and rewatch. Dustin Fountain says, you are my fave. Sorry, Aaron. Thank you for the support, Dustin. And I'm hoping that Aaron is starting to feel better. It's been a while now without an Aaron stream. I'm not used to going this long without a stream from the Growing Up in Scientology channel, but I'm hoping that he's resting up and recovering and doing what he needs to do so that he can get back there soon. That would be great. Are You Jellin says nice venue too. Yeah, last night the place that we were at Art Share LA, which I had never been to before, but it was a real cool setup that they had there. They had a lot of art on the walls and some gallery style rooms, and then we went into the performance room where there was a green room right behind that we were able to rehearse a bit in. Yeah, a lot of fun last night. And CC says you are doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you, CC. I appreciate you being in here. Wolf Machine says, yes, in an electro art punk band now. LOL, rehearsal is optional. Yeah, I do get the vibe that that can just be how it goes sometimes. I mean, I feel with my background, especially in musical theater, with a lot of the shows that I've done in the past, particularly when I was in high school, we would always have lots of rehearsal before we got on stage. So that's sort of what I'm used to. I'm used to having plenty of opportunities to get super comfortable with the people I'm performing with, get super comfortable with the songs that we're doing. And with some of the shows that I've done with Laura, we haven't had quite as much time to rehearse. We've kind of just thrown some stuff together. I've figured out, oh, okay, these are the chords that I'm going to play, and great, ready for the show. So I could definitely do some more practice on my own just to make sure that I'm squared away on all of the music that we're doing. But you know what? We do our best. We do the show as it turns out, and it was fun. It was a fun show. I feel like I can always be self-critical, and maybe that's just a bit of a Jacob ism, something that I tend to do after my own performances is self-critique, sometimes a bit too harshly, maybe. Um, but you know what? We're learning, we're living, we're learning, loving and learning. This is what I'm thinking of now. One of Laura's songs that is one of my favorites of hers. But yeah, as far I love the rehearsal is optional comment because it does seem to be that that's how it can go. Thank you for the comment, Wolf Machine. Pam Lopez says, safety in numbers. Love watching you all. Safety in numbers is right. Yes. Looking out for each other is definitely an important aspect of being out there. And DS says, you going out tonight to to protest with Danny, also with Confident Chris? Yes. And I did see that Confident Chris, as of the last couple of days, has started going back out there on the streets, which is great to see. He took some time off after the physical altercation that he was involved with. So I'm glad to see that he's safe, that he is healthy, and that he is getting back out there on the streets. We love to see that. So yes, to answer your question, I will be back out there tonight to protest with them. And Tampa B Man says, I had a Tampa A girl tell me she liked my name, which was weird, but it's fine. Haven't seen her in weeks. Yeah, there's only so many names that we can come up with related to Scientology, I'm sure. Although Tampa B Man is not necessarily directly related to Scientology, but I guess my brain now, when I hear about cities in Pinellas County like Clearwater or near Clearwater, cities like Tampa, my mind automatically goes to Flag and Clearwater and all of that. But that is interesting that you're Tampa B man and she was Tampa A girl. Mandy McGee says, hello. Hi, Mandy. Thank you for being here. Cece says, I'm here from 1974. Thank you for letting the light out. Uh, does that mean you were born in 1974? I'm not sure if I know what you mean there, but in any case, thank you for being here, Cece. I'm a honey baby sweetie doll says, I'm in Canada, but we'll be there with you in spirit tonight. That's awesome. I hope that you have some fun on the stream joining us tonight. Nisa says, comment, let's all band together to stop Scientology. That's what it's all about. That's why I'm loving to see the community that we're building here in the chat. Totally. DS says, did you ask her to post your songs of Little Shop of Horrors? I did not yet. Thank you for reminding me. I will be sure to send Mindy a text before I head up to LA tonight to see if that'll be cool with her. Because, yes, for those of you who caught the Valentine's Day stream the other day, I was talking about the fact that Mindy Willens, another member of the Squirrel Squad, and I sang a duet at karaoke a couple of weeks ago. The song was Suddenly Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors. And if it's all right with her, I thought maybe I would share that with you all since there was some enthusiasm about seeing that in the chat a couple of days ago. So thank you for the reminder, DS. I will be sure to ask her before I get out there on the streets tonight. Are you Jellin says, DS, I can't see you. Oh, I wonder why that may be. Mandy McGee says, be careful of the dude that followed him yesterday. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So to be honest, I've still got to go back and rewatch some of the streams from yesterday a little bit more closely, but I was seeing some of the clips that were being posted by SPTV fan where, as I understand it, there was a guy who followed Confident Chris to the same spot where he was assaulted a few weeks ago. And if I'm not mistaken, some folks pointed out who that may have been. People who were ex-Scientologists that recognized the guy. I want to say that his name was Tony Pierce, maybe. I hope I'm getting that right. But yes, and I will definitely be mindful of him and be sure to keep an eye out for him in case he does happen to show up. But thank you for letting me know. Thank you for bringing that up, Mandy. Tampa B Man says, I met Tampa A girl protesting with Aaron in Clearwater. Thought she was a spy. You know, it's never a bad idea to be skeptical and just make sure that we're exercising caution when meeting new people out there, because Scientology definitely does have a history of planting spies in with protesters to make the protesters believe that the spies are really one of them when in fact they're not. If you ever read the book The Unbreakable Miss Lovely by Tony Ortega, which is all about Paulette Cooper, who was one of the original journalists to start exposing Scientology back as early as 1969. There were definitely a couple of instances in the book of her befriending and at one point, if I'm not mistaken, even living with somebody who she thought was an ally, only to learn later that they were actually involved with Scientology and were put up to gather info on Paulette Cooper. So yes, being mindful of who may or may not be a spy is not a bad idea. Thank you for bringing that up. GDGM says, you guys protesting are an inspiration for us in the anti-MLM movement. In other ways, we could raise awareness. Yeah, absolutely. MLMs are definitely another thing to be mindful of with regard to high control organizations. I remember that one of the first MLMs that I really started to keep an eye on was LuLaRoe after Roberta Blevins appeared on the Fair Game podcast to talk to Leah Remini and Mike Rinder. And she talked about some of the parallels that could be seen in multi-level marketing schemes or pyramid schemes like LuLaRoe and the kinds of parallels that they have to organizations like Scientology. So yeah, that's interesting to hear. So GDGM, are you active in the MLM move in the anti-MLM movement? Because if so, that's really awesome. I would love to hear more about that. Thank you for sharing. Mandy McGee says, I'd love to work with you. I do weird, noisy music. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to, if you have any stuff on your YouTube channel, I might have to check that out. That would be really cool. Yeah, I'm starting to learn some more about music production myself. I've started to work a little bit with software like Ableton to get familiar with some of that stuff, because so far most of the music making that I have done has just consisted of singing at karaoke, or as of very recently, sometimes playing guitar and singing. But yeah, getting into music recording and music production is definitely something that I'm interested in learning how to do more of. So yeah, if you have music to share, Mandy, I would love to check that out. Thank you for bringing that up. Mandy McGee says, Tony here in LA. Yeah, okay. Tony Pierce, LA Times. Thank you for letting me know. And that's from 44M Corstich 808. Thank you for letting me know. Here in LA. Got it. Got it. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, the guy's name is Tony Pierce. He has been a contributor to the LA Times, and he's Tony here in LA is his handle. I think that's what we're saying here. I'll definitely check some more into that before I get out on the streets tonight to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on who may or may not be out there when I'm out there with the Squirrel Squad. But thanks for the clarifications in the chat. I appreciate it. CC says, I got into Scientology in 1974. Got it. I was 21. Wish you knew the trouble getting out, but seems you may fathom more than me. I was just listening to birds, LOL. Well, I am glad that you got out of Scientology. That's great to see. And yeah, in 1974, that would have been when L. Ron Hubbard was still alive. So I'm sure that you have some interesting stories about your time in Scientology. I would love to hear more about that. But thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here, CC. And DS says, when you go out to protest, keep your eyes on the cars. Yes, I have been making an effort to do that as best I can recently. So thank you for the reminder. We'll be sure to. And Crow Red Eye says, I remember about her. It was wild what happened to her. Um, are we talking about oh, Mindy? Yeah, yeah. She's had her own run-in with some physical altercations with people who are not on board with the protesting of Scientology happening. That may be what you're talking about. But oh, yeah, I'll be certain to be looking over my shoulder and making sure that I'm staying safe, doing what I can to stay safe tonight. Mandy McGee says some cults start as MLMs. I definitely think that you're right about that. And the first place that my mind goes to when I hear that is Nexium, the Nexium cult started by Keith Raniere. Because I do know after watching The Vow and seeing activists who were ex-members of Nexium, like Sarah Edmondson and her husband Nippy Ames, as well as Mark Vicente, I know that a handful of them shared some information about the MLM that Keith Raniere had previously started in New York. The name of it is currently slipping my mind. But yes, I have no doubt that starting MLMs, the thing is, it has they have such similar parallels to the way that they start, the way they make false promises to their members of, oh, you're going to be able to make so much money and you're going to be able to do this and you're going to be able to do that and you're going to have so much power and control and freedom, when really people who join MLMs end up just being a cog in a pyramid scheme where the person or small number of people at the top are the ones that are actually turning the majority of a profit. And yeah, I have no doubt that there are some MLMs out there that once they're able to get members who are very dedicated and very devoted to the cause and very devoted to helping the leader grow whatever the movement may be, that control can just escalate to the point of becoming a real high control group, or in other words, a cult. So yeah, I definitely think that you're right there, Mandy. Thank you. Lexi Evans says, it will be telling if we watched for ourselves. Laura's live on 9/28/23. I believe he is the same guy. There is more that he said that hasn't been clipped and shared. Timestamp is 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 30 seconds. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that stream to see if it may be the same guy. Because, yeah, if we've got multiple instances of that same guy harassing, then that's definitely going to be telling. So yeah, thank you for the reminder about that, Lexi. I think you may have mentioned that the other day too, and I meant to check on it and I haven't yet. So thanks for bringing that up again. I'll be sure to check it out. And then Mandy McGee says, it's on my band's channel, Season of Strangers in Seattle. All right. Thank you for letting me know. I will check that out. It's always fun to connect with other musician friends. So yeah, I'll be sure to look that up. Thank you. Tampa B Man says, she was a spy for sure. That's the Tampa A girl that you're talking about there. Interesting. Well, yeah, make sure that you're doing what you can to stay diligent. Make sure that you're staying safe. I don't know if I have seen Erin's stream that she may have appeared on, but that's good that you're keeping an eye out and doing what you can to stay safe. Thank you, Tampa B Man. And it's on my band's channel, Season of Strangers in Seattle. I sing sometimes and play keys and bass. Yeah, awesome. I will be sure to check that out. Season of Strangers in Seattle. Nice. And BFN TNT says, can you make more noise like DOA and Streets? We'll see. The thing is, I never know exactly what's going to be happening when I get out there on the streets. I never necessarily know if we're going to have people yelling at us or if there are going to be physical altercations. Of course, I hope not, but it has happened multiple times since we've been out there. Depending on what happens when we're out there, is really an influencing and determining factor in how we respond and what we do. And different folks who are out there have different approaches and different styles. So Lara and DOA, they're definitely loud. They definitely don't hold back from using their voices. I feel like it's not necessarily my natural inclination personally to be just yelling once I'm out there. But if that's what the night calls for, if we're chanting and we're using our voices to make some noise, that could be the move. We'll see. We'll see. I do also like to try to keep an eye on the chat while I'm out there, so that if folks like you all have questions and there's anything that I'm able to answer to help you all out as far as following along with what's going on, I can do that too. But I'll keep in mind that you want me to be making some more noise out there. We'll see how tonight goes. I can't say I know off the top of my head where we'll be or what's going to be happening, what we'll be doing, but we'll see. We'll see. Thank you for the comment, BFN TNT. Lori B says, "Yes, I just put those two together. I remember that name though. He was around before." And that's the Tony Pierce that you're talking about, I'm assuming. I'm not sure. Maybe so. Maybe so. Sickles says, "What's good?" Not much. Good to see you in here, Sickles. I hope that the this semester of school is treating you well so far. Thank you for joining up in the chat. GDGM says, "Yes, I've been active in this movement for several years now. MLMs are considered commercial cults. The manipulation tactics are pretty much the same as Scientology. I mean, yeah, like I was saying, the way that they entice members, the way that they make false promises and convince people that they're going to be able to achieve full financial freedom, that they'll be able to be in control and gain power and gain wealth, when it really turns out that they're just helping those at the top of the scheme do that. Yeah, totally. I definitely think that there's a lot of the same kinds of tactics being used between cults and MLMs. Mandy McGee says, "Haha, I used to try and help my friend sell her MLM crap. It was a candle company. To be fair, their candles were awesome, but I never made any money, only spent it. I got out quickly." Yeah, so I do know that that is a typical feature of MLMs is that when you join an MLM, often you'll have to sign into an agreement where you're made to believe that you're going to be a business owner. But what you really have to do is you have to commit to buying a certain amount of the product, whatever the product is, every month, with the expectation that you're going to then be selling that product. And there might be promises made to you like, oh, well, look at what this person made. They started just 3 months ago and they're already making huge sums of money. You can be the same. When really you might end up agreeing that you're going to be spending hundreds of dollars or more every month to buy your personal inventory of the product so that you can be a quote unquote business owner, when really you're just paying the person at the top, hoping that you're able to sell enough product to make that money back for yourself, when really sometimes that may not happen. And people who are trapped in MLMs may end up spending more money than they actually make. So yeah, I have no doubt that you are not alone in there, Mandy. But thank you for sharing. That's definitely interesting that you've had your own personal experience with that. Fluffer Squirrel UK says, "Streets is streets and DOA is DOA. Everyone brings something different, exposing Church of Scientology from too many angles for them to cover. Let's appreciate Jacob being Jacob and out there." Yeah, thank you, Fluffer Squirrel UK. I definitely agree with you. I think that we've kind of all got our own personalities. We've all got our own approaches to the way that we do things. And that's why I love to see what the Squirrel Squad has grown into, as well as what I've been able to do out there with Eat Predators. Because I think that Alexa Nicholas, when she was organizing her protests in September and October, she had her own approach that was consistent with protests that she had organized in the past. When Streets LA started regularly protesting or auditing Scientology, it was fairly consistent with a lot of the activism that he had been doing up to that point with his account Film the Police LA. And then, of course, DOA, he's got a lot of experience protesting all over the country. Laura, she's somebody who was actually in Scientology. So people like her and Serge are able to bring their own experience in. And yeah, so we're all kind of doing things our own way, but we're all there to support each other at the same time. So yeah, I appreciate your comment. I like that you say, let's appreciate Jacob being Jacob and out there. So yeah, I'll be back out there and we'll see how it goes. It'll be a fun time. I think it should be. Dustin Fountain says, "If I go to LA, can I meet you all?" Totally. Yeah, we usually I mean, the thing is, there's a whole group of people who have been protesting Scientology every night lately. I'm not able to get out there every night with my work and school schedule. I've only been able to get out there maybe once or twice a week as of lately. But I mean, yeah, you tune into any of our channels, find out where we are, and you want to come by and offer your support, yeah, absolutely, we would love to have more supporters from the SPTV community out there. That would be awesome. CC says, "Lexi, thanks." Dustin Fountain says, "I fly for free, just need a ride." Okay, well, yeah, if you do decide that that is something that you want to pursue, if you want to make it an effort to get out here, then yeah, I'm sure that there will be folks in the community who would be happy to help you out to make sure that you can get out there. Totally. Mandy McGee says, I do have a critique on the protesters and getting up in people's faces. Some of those people have nothing to do with Scientology. It can make the movement look bad. Gotta be careful who you yell at. I definitely don't disagree with you there. That's been something that I've been reluctant to do myself. I have seen that happen sometimes where some of the protesters who may be out there will have a tendency to put the camera up in people's faces when they might not necessarily be even people who are up to date on what's going on. They might just be passersby coming by on the street. So I've tried to avoid doing that on my own channel. Um, as I understand it, if people are out in public, it's not illegal to film them in the state of California. That may be something that there may be differing laws on from state to state, and I'm not necessarily familiar with the law all over. But I do see what you mean there. If I'm gonna be out there streaming, I want to make sure that what I'm doing is productive and that it is staying focused on what is important. And so I definitely get what you mean, and for that reason, I try to avoid just randomly putting the cameras into faces of people who are not necessarily directly involved in what we're talking about. But yeah, thank you for the comment. Jeremy Yurs says, wasn't there a case that went to arbitration and it was found for Scientology? Did the judge go further with that case? I can't remember what that case was for. So there are two cases that I am aware of that have been forced into religious arbitration and actually had the arbitration process held. The first case was filed by plaintiff Luis Garcia as well as his wife. I'm blanking on her name right now, but Luis Garcia and his wife, they were ex-Scientologists who made it all the way up to the bridge, all the way up to the top of the bridge to total freedom, to OT8, and then they sued Scientology for essentially not delivering on its promises. And that case was forced into religious arbitration, and they moved forward with arbitration. And as I understand it, Luis Garcia and his wife were not allowed to have phones in the proceeding. They were not allowed to have an attorney. They were not even really allowed to talk. So the odds were completely stacked against them. And that happened a few years ago. I can't remember the exact year off the top of my head. And then there was another lawsuit recently, which, as I understand it, is not. I'm trying to get my thoughts straight on making sure that I'm getting the facts as accurate as I can. If I understand correctly, the Luis Garcia case is not continuing to move forward. I am not aware of any recent developments that have happened recently with regard to that case. The other case is Valerie Haney's case. So Valerie Haney sued Scientology a few years ago. Her case was forced into religious arbitration, and there was some interesting press that case was getting a year to a year and a half ago when Valerie Haney was being told that it was time for her to nominate what do they call it? An arbitrator? I'm not even certain of the terminology there. But she was supposed to nominate somebody who was a Scientologist in good standing. So she tried to nominate Elizabeth Moss and was told that Elizabeth Moss wasn't available. And she tried to nominate Tom Cruise and Shelley Miscavige. And I think Scientology was not happy that she was making information about who she was attempting to nominate public. And if I'm not mistaken, she did end up having her arbitration proceeding, whatever you want to call it, with Scientology a few months ago, and it was not so different from what happened in the Luis Garcia case, and that she wasn't supposed to be talking. It was Scientology stacking the cards against her. And if I'm not mistaken, her attorneys submitted some kind of a motion to the courts with information about what happened there. And I am not certain off the top of my head what the current status of that case is, and if we will be likely to hear more about further developments in that case. That's Valerie Haney's lawsuit against Scientology. So more to come on that. If I get more information about additional developments in the Valerie Haney lawsuit, I will be sure to follow up about that, because I would like to know. I would like to know if Valerie Haney is going to be able to get some justice as well. For those who are unfamiliar with her case, She is an ex Sea Org member who worked directly for Shelly Miscavige at the international base in Southern California. And she escaped from the international base in 2016 by getting in the back of the car of an actor who came to the base to a non-Scientologist actor who came to the base to film something for Scientology. And she was one of the last people to see Shelly Miscavige in 2005 before she disappeared from the international base. She appears in season 3, episode 1 of Leah Remini's Scientology in the Aftermath. And if you have not seen her episode of the show, I would strongly recommend that you check that out. It's a really interesting story. Thank you for bringing that up, Jeremy. Oh, one other case that was forced into arbitration recently was the Valeska Paris and Gawain and Laura Baxter case that was filed against Scientology in Clearwater, Florida. And that was a real bummer because that case, that's another labor trafficking lawsuit that's been filed in Florida. Um, where there was a similar battle to what we've seen happen in California about whether or not David Miscavige had been adequately served. And ultimately, the judge in that case did rule that David Miscavige had been served, but unfortunately, not too long after that, he did force the case into arbitration. So now that's a hurdle that the plaintiffs in that case are going to have to fight against. But that'll be something that we'll keep an eye on as well if there are additional developments coming out of that one. So that's Baxter v. Scientology. So Garcia v. Scientology and Haney v. Scientology are the two cases that have already gone into arbitration and actually had an arbitration proceeding overseen by Scientology. Baxter v. Scientology is an ongoing case that is in Florida that will be, or that the judge has ordered into arbitration. And then these cases that are in California, we'll have to wait and see how the judges decide to rule on the topic of motions to compel arbitration. So I'll be definitely keeping an eye on all of those. HD2 says, Jacob, I love how you structure information and your articulation. Please keep doing it how you do it. Thank you, HD2. I really appreciate that. Thank you for being in here. Bottoms Up says, Jacob, I appreciate your style of protesting. Stay true to yourself. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to do things the way that I'm comfortable. Thank you. DS says, you got wings? I want to get on your back to fly too. Dustin Fountain. Yeah, I'm glad to see how many people are wanting to come out here and join us. That's been really cool to me to see, like especially a few weeks ago when we had Aaron Smith-Levin and Liz Gale and other folks come out. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, absolutely. If you guys do end up coming out to LA, it would be a pleasure to meet you all out here. Lexi Evans says, Jacob makes noise. His positivity and compassion is extremely loud. I'd like to hope so. Thank you, Lexi. And then Tampa B-Man says she was only there once. Okay, I'm assuming that's the Tampa A girl you're talking about. Gotcha. Mandy McGee says, I need protesters here in Seattle with me. I don't want to go out alone. Well, if I do happen to wind up in Seattle, I will be sure to try to get in contact with you. And if anybody else is watching this video from Seattle or from near the Seattle area, that would be super cool if you let us know in the chat, and some more community building could happen. Now at this point, we've got people who are doing the Scientology protesting in Los Angeles, in Clearwater, Florida. I've been seeing some in Denver. I expect that we may be seeing some more in Austin, Texas coming up soon. I know that it was recently announced that the Ideal org out there will be opening soon. And I know that there are some folks in the SPTV community who are planning to be out there to try to be there for the opening, which will be super interesting to see. Yeah, it would also be super cool if we see some more protesters up in Seattle. So yeah, you'll have to let us know, Mandy, if you do wind up getting out there and meeting up with other SPTV folks. Mandy McGee says, in my youth, it was my grandma doing Tupperware parties and Mary Kay parties, and Mary Kay makeup does not list their ingredients. Ew. I know that Tupperware and makeup do tend to be fairly common products that are sold by multi-level marketing schemes. So interesting. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Tampa B-Man says, Mandy, there's a meetup in Seattle, I think tomorrow and Tuesday. Really? I Have not been aware of that. Is there much of an SPTV community presence up in the Seattle area? Yeah, if so, that would be really cool. That would be really cool to know more information about because I have not heard anything about that. They're very cool. Dustin Fountain says, "No, you can't fly on my back. We would never get past TSA." Oh, wouldn't that be interesting if somebody tried to do that? That sounds like something straight out of a movie. Tampa B Man says, "Hey Dustin, love to see the community building." REM Arts says, "I love when you are all in the same place. I have all of the YouTube streams up at the same time and it makes me feel like I am there." Yeah, it's been funny to me sometimes to see the way that we're able to do that, the way that we're able to kind of have so many different angles of one location at the same time. That was especially cool when we were at the North Hollywood Scientology event where Flag is Here was playing the whole time because there were multiple entrances where people were coming, with Scientologists were coming and going, and we were able to have so many of us in different spots around the org at different points. So that night we had me, Laura, Confident Chris without a Hellcat, Jess Palmadessa, um, LA Cam, all of us were there, and none of us were all standing in the exact same spot at the same time. We were all kind of dispersed around. So I would even have people in my chat letting me know, "Oh, walk around to the other side of the building. So and so is talking to whoever or whatever may have been going on at any given time." But it was really, really cool the way that we were able to build community and have so many people with their cameras out and at different angles at that time. It was really awesome. So yeah, thank you for sharing, REM Arts. Sandykin says, "I know what Alexa was doing at the Grammys." Oh, I'm sure you're talking about Alexa Nicholas there. Yeah. But she ended up being a riot to watch. She got her point across. Yeah. That day that we were at the Grammys, it was raining harder than I have ever seen it rain in Los Angeles before. So we all had our umbrellas out and we were really fighting against the rain and the wind that day. But for those who may not have caught that stream, we were protesting against the Recording Academy, and Alexa and Eat Predators organized a protest against the Recording Academy because there are a few lawsuits that are currently ongoing that have been filed against former executives of the Recording Academy who were involved in SA cover-ups and forcing other former executives who are the victims of SA into non-disclosure agreements and career reputation attacks. And those were lawsuits against Neil Portnow and Mike Green. So we had a lot of really cool signs that were made by Alexa and her husband, and we were protesting against the Grammys, or specifically against the Recording Academy, which is the body putting on the Grammys. And Phoebe Bridgers, who is a member of the group Boy Genius, which did well at the Grammys, actually made some comments telling Neil Portnow to rot and piss, which Alexa and I certainly got a kick out of. We were glad to see that, but I'm glad that you checked that stream out. Thank you, Sandy Kins. Fluffer Squirrel UK says, "Mindy McGee, I've made a categorized list on my channel. I'm going to try and note down and link up people who want to get out there. Could I put you down for Seattle?" Very cool. That's cool that you've got a categorized list on there. I'll have to check that out. Mandy McGee says, "Yes, please." Well, there you go. We've got somebody in the Seattle area looking to get out there and get protesting against Scientology. That's awesome. Dustin Fountain says, "Hey, Tampa." Fluffer Squirrel UK says, "Mandy McGee, sweet. Is that your handle on YouTube?" Mandy McGee says, "Yes, you can film in public anywhere." Yeah, that's good to know. That's definitely good to know in case I do find myself in another state where I'm wanting to meet up with other protesters. Awesome. Dustin Fountain says, "Tampa B, I might not go out to Flag tomorrow because of rain." Yeah, the rain definitely did cause me to take a break from protesting for a little while when it was pretty rainy out here in California. But skies have been pretty clear the last few days, so that shouldn't be a problem for me tonight. Tampa B Man says, "Dustin, I went down with Reese, but haven't been that often recently." Gotcha. Dustin Fountain, "I work nights and have been rotating days off, so I can only go to Flag on my days off." Got you. Mandy McGee says, "Tampa B Man, are you an artist? I think I found your Instagram." Look at that. We've got even more community building happening in here. And Are You Jellin says, "Jacob, check out what Mark Bunker just posted. He just said Leah had a win." I haven't seen what Mark Bunker posted yet, but if he posted about the fact that David Miscavige has been officially declared served in that case, then that definitely is a win. That's definitely some progress. That is a big step in the right direction. But I have not seen the video that Mark Bunker posted, so I'll be sure to check him out. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. And for those who don't know, Mark Bunker is currently the vice mayor of Clearwater, Florida. He's been on the city council for a few years now, and is the only member of the Clearwater City Council who is a declared SP, who has been doing what he can to stop Scientology from continuing to expand and acquire more property in the Clearwater area. So he is currently up for reelection, and he's been platformed by several others in the SPTV community, so that he can get his message out there. And I don't have his website handy off the top of my head, but let me see if I can find what it is. Mark Bunker. Okay, so if you go to markbunker2024.com, you can see all of the information about his platform on there for those of you who want to throw him some support. Because, yes, keeping declared SPs on the Clearwater City Council is one way to make sure that their power in Clearwater, Florida is limited. So, yeah, thank you for bringing up Mark Bunker. Thank you. Are you gelling? Fluffer Squirrel UK says, Tampa B Man, do you know the names of the, excuse me, do you know the channel names of the people going to Seattle? It sounded like he might have those, or actually, okay. So yeah, let's see what we're able to find out there. I was about to say you can go to Fluffer Squirrel UK's channel, but then I realized Fluffer Squirrel UK is the one who made that comment. Gotcha. Tampa B Man says, Mandy, yes, wow, that's wild. Amy M says, what are you in school for? So currently, I am taking classes in film production, TV production, uh, radio broadcasting, and music production. I currently hold a bachelor's degree in English with a minor in film and television from UCLA. But when I got my degree, I got my degree in 2021. And so we were still kind of at the height of COVID at that time. So even though I was a film and television minor, I didn't really get to do a whole lot of actual hands-on filmmaking. Being a film and television minor really, during COVID, really came down more to watching movies and writing essays about them, which was cool. I got to watch some cool stuff and do some cool assignments, but I didn't get as much hands-on experience as I would have liked and as it would have been cool. So now I'm back in school, going to community college and taking more production-based classes where I'm able to actually get some more hands-on experience, working with equipment and doing the kinds of jobs that I would get to do if I were working in the industry. So it's been a lot of fun, and I will be sure to let you guys know if any of the projects that I work on do get posted or anything, because that would be fun to share with you all what I'm working on. I will go ahead and say really quick, I mentioned this on a stream fairly recently, that I do host a radio show on Thursdays at 6 p.m. On the 88.5 HD2 KSBR signal. So that's not the 88.5 FM signal, but the 88.5 HD2 signal, which is also available to be streamed at the Jazz 885. Oh shoot, I don't want to get the URL wrong. Let me see if at jazz885.org is where you can stream the 88.5 FM HD2 channel online for those of you who might not be in the Orange County or Los Angeles area. I'll throw in another update about that before my show this coming week. But in any case, that is what I'm currently in school for. There's a lot of other fields that I'm interested in. I'm also pretty interested in law and political science. And so those are things that I could see myself potentially going back to school for, maybe in the near future. But currently, yeah, film production, TV production, radio broadcasting, and music production. Thank you for asking, Amy. And CC says, nice shirt. That's right. This is my SPTV shirt given to me courtesy of Laura FM. Thank you for the compliment there. Tampa B Man says, fluffier, Relatable Reese is having 2 meeting days with SPs. Not really a protest, just a gathering of people in this community. Well, hey, that sounds like a lot of fun. That's very cool. I'm actually not sure where Relatable Reese lives. Is she also in the Seattle area? Or, yeah, I'm not sure. But thank you for letting us know. Laura Font says, Mandy McGee, I am in Seattle. There you go. There's another one in the community. Tampa B Man says, or excuse me, Mandy McGee says, Tampa B Man, your art is amazing. I will message you. Awesome. Tampa B Man says, Fluffier, all are welcome. Mandy McGee says, Laura Font, OMG, yes. Are you on Instagram? Looks like we've got some more community building in the Seattle area happening. I love to see it. Fluffer Squirrel UK says, Tampa B Man, okay, thank you. Tampa B Man, Mandy, that's so sweet of you. Yeah, I'll have to check out your art as well. That's really awesome that you're an artist. We've got an artist in the community. Very cool. Cajun Juju says, Pearl Snappy, Austin. All right, there we go. We got another one in the Austin area. So I'm assuming that Pearl Snappy will be one of the folks that may be out there protesting the day of the Austin org opening. Very cool. Laura Font says, Mandy McGee, are you going to the lunch with Reese on Sunday? Sounds like we've got some plans being made here, which I love to see. Mandy McGee, Laura Font, I didn't know there was one. Is Reese in Seattle? I had no idea. Tampa B Man, Laura, you're going, right? Reese is there with her husband and meeting up with everyone who wants to go. This is good to know. Yeah, I didn't know about any of this, so I'm glad that we're all learning in here. Laura Font says, yes, Tampa B Man. Laura, it's going to be awesome. Good for you. Very cool. Juju Superfines says, but sometimes people go overboard and could cause issues for the group. Just saying. I'm assuming that you might be talking back to a little bit earlier when I was talking about the fact that some folks have a tendency to put their cameras in people's faces. And yeah, I know what you mean. I don't necessarily, I can't say that I necessarily agree with every single thing that all of these protesters does and any given day, but I try to do what I think is right when I think it's right to do it, and I understand what you're saying. So it is something that I do try to be mindful of. But thank you for letting me know. I'm gonna get a quick sip of water before I go on because I'm starting to feel the dryness in my throat from all the talking I'm doing. A couple of seconds of dead air there. I like to not have too much of that when I'm doing a stream. Laura Font says, Sunday at 11:30 a.m. at Salty's on Alki. Thank you. Mandy McGee. Oh, amazing. I may need a ride if I can't find one. Tampa B Man says, Laura, thanks. I didn't know dates and times. Well, now we've got that there. Courtesy of Laura, it's Sunday at 11:30 a.m. at Salty's on, I'm not sure if it's Alki or Alki, but thank you. Thank you for letting us know, Laura. And Juju Superfines is putting in some suggestions for Mandy here. Uber or Lyft. DS says, you guys forgot to bring your soap on that day of rain. Yeah, it was so rainy, I could have just skipped a shower that day and just brought some soap and put down my umbrella and let that wash me away. Mandy McGee says, Juju Superfines, it's very pricey to get anywhere outside my neighborhood. Yeah, that can be my experience with Uber and Lyft sometimes as well. Juju Superfine says, some protesters are acting more intelligent than others who may become a liability when getting a bit too carried away with their egos. You know, we've got different approaches. Sometimes do some people go overboard? Sometimes maybe so, but as long as we keep our eyes on the prize and stay focused on what's important, I think that's the way to do it. DS says, did you get the chance to hear the song called Spicy Eyes? Song called Spicy Eyes. Do I know a song called Spicy Eyes? I don't know that I do. Let me see if that's something. I'm just googling it to see if that's something that I've heard of before. I don't think I'm familiar. Yeah, I might have to look into that. Mandy McGee, or excuse me, Juju Superfine says, Mandy McGee, yeah, I bet. Are You Jellin says, yes, he was served. In the Leah Remini lawsuit, yes, David Miscavige was served. That's right. We're still waiting to get an update about that, or he still is to be officially served in the Jane Doe v. Religious Technology Center case. But in the Leah Remini case, yes, he was. As well as the Baxter v. Scientology case, even though that case was unfortunately forced into arbitration. I'm doing my best to keep the facts in each case straight. So I hope I'm making sense on it all. Tampa B Man says Mark Bunker, Wise Beard Man. That is him. He is the Wise Beard Man. That's right. He's been around for a long time. That's a nickname that goes way back. Mandy McGee says, Juju Superfines, I am disabled, and also the buses in my area have been cut really bad, and where they are meeting is hard to get to without a car. Gotcha. Well, yeah, if there is anybody in the community who is available to give Mandy McGee a ride in the Seattle area, that would be much appreciated by all of us who are looking to get more folks in the community out there. So yeah, good luck. Best of luck to you, Mandy, in getting a ride to the event coming up. Juju Superfine says, Mandy McGee, gather 3 more friends who will rideshare with you. That's one way to do it. Mandy McGee says, friends? What are those? Well, it sounds like you now may have some friends in the SPTV community in the Seattle area, which would be awesome. Are You Gelid says, you definitely have a radio voice. Thank you. I've been hearing that from some folks lately, which is much appreciated. I'm hoping that will bode well for me in the show that I've been doing. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate the comment. And then Capital Callout says she's in Kansas City. Okay, I'm assuming you're talking about Reese here. Gotcha. Yes, Tampa B Man also says relatable Reese lives in Kansas City, Missouri. All right, gotcha. Lexi Evans, Reese is from Kansas. She's just visiting Seattle right now. All right. So that was directed to Lexi. Gotcha. Are You Jellin says DOA will be going to with Snappy in Austin as well. That's right. He's another one of the member of the community who will be out there for the opening of the org. Lexi Evans says Jinx up in the chat. Is there somebody named Jinx in here? I'm not sure. Laura Font says, Jacob Harkey, if you haven't watched Pearl Snappy, you need to. I do need to. I haven't checked that channel out as much so far. So yes, thank you for the suggestion. I will be sure to do that. Capital Callout says, unfortunately, you're gonna have a bad apple in every group. It happens, and especially with a group that is not necessarily organized formally, but kind of just contains a bunch of people who have chosen to show up on their own. It happens, but overall, I'm happy with the group that we've got out there. So I'm hoping that it will continue to be seeing some good stuff happening in the coming weeks as we're continuing to protest out there. Juju Superfine says, Mandy McGee, you can continue to support from home by watching, liking, and sharing without leaving the house. This is true, but hey, we want her to be able to get out there if she has an opportunity to. Tampa B Man says, I'm definitely telling Reese and Tommy about Jacob. Well, Tommy, I assume you're talking about Tommy Scoville of the Lifeboat, and I've gotten to meet him a few times now. Because Tommy Scoville, he was at the courthouse for Danny Masterson's sentencing. So I got to chat a little bit with him and Aaron and Jeffrey Augustine that day. Tommy was also at the Eat Predators protest in front of the Celebrity Center in October. So I've gotten to meet up with him a few times. He's super cool. I've interacted with Reese a little bit in her chat, although I haven't met her in person or really had a conversation with her. But yeah, they're super cool. But thank you, Tampa B Man, for helping get the word out about the channel. I love to see that. DS says, I am a mod for Danny's channel at Juju Superfines. Oh, awesome. I didn't realize that, DS. Thank you for letting us know. And Mandy McGee says, Juju Superfines, yeah, it's what I've been doing, but I want to get out of the house someday. Ha ha ha. Yeah, best of luck. I hope that you're able to very soon. DS says it is on Danny's channel. Oh, okay, very cool. Yeah, I'll have to check him out there as well. Or you Jellin says maybe it's not ego. It could just be they get into their feelings and it goes up. Yeah, I mean, like I've said, different people have different approaches, and they might have different things that set them off, or different things that cause them to react in different ways. And when we're live streaming, especially when we're live streaming out in public, none of us necessarily know what's going to happen. So I mean, it's easy to point fingers, but I like to try to focus on the good and what we're doing that is good out there. Cat1137, when Danny sprayed guy with pepper spray. Ooh, I need to go back and check that. I actually did not see that on his channel. So yeah, if that's on Danny's channel, I'll have to check that out. Oh, Spicy Eyes, a rendition of Hall & Oates' Private Eyes. If that's what you were referring to a little bit earlier, DS, that would be something that I've got to see. Oh, okay. Oh, it was an AI song created for the guy Danny pepper sprayed. So Private Eyes, That's interesting. I like that song "Private Eyes" by Hall and Oates. If that was a parody, that would have been funny. It sounds like it was an AI song created for the guy Danny Peppersprayed. Yeah, I've got to check that out. Thank you for letting me know. Mandy McGee says, you also have to have specific goals because I have seen many movements fall because of egos and not agreeing on the goals. That's a good point. I do think that a lot of people in the Squirrel Squad and SPTV communities are pretty much on the same page that we share a goal of getting Scientology's tax exempt status revoked and putting an end to the abuses that are committed by the Church of Scientology. So I'm hopeful that if we keep that as a grounding goal of everybody in the group, that we'll be able to see some success in our movement. But it's a good point. I appreciate you bringing that up. Dustin Fountain says, I want to go to the meetup. Where is it at? What state? Well, what they were talking about a little bit earlier in the chat, if I remember where it was at a restaurant in Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. Sometimes it can be tough for me to keep track of the chat and get back to comments from earlier. But oh gosh, who was it? Where was it? Did I? I scrolled up a little bit in the chat, but I also don't want to get lost too much. Oh, here it is. So Laura Font had mentioned earlier, it is Sunday at 11:30 a.m. at Salty's on Alki. So yeah, for those of you who are in the Seattle area looking to attend that one, that would be awesome if you can get a good turnout there. I would love to see that. And so yeah, there's your answer, Dustin Fountain. Laura Font then says, Jacob Harkey, spicy eyes is in reference to the guy who got maced outside the trash. Gotcha. And of course, the trash is referring to La Poubelle. La Poubelle is the restaurant across the street from the Celebrity Center where Danny Masterson drugged some of the women who he went on to SA. This came up in his criminal trial, and Francois, what's her last name? Is it Coaster, I think? Is the owner of La Poubelle, who was present supporting Danny at his criminal trial, in spite of how bad the trial made her restaurant look. And then Nisa says, comment. What about me and my comment? Can I please have my turn? Yeah, here you are. Thank you for being here. It is your turn. You've got your comment up on the screen. Thank you for being here, Nisa. Yeah, if you have a question, I'm happy to answer questions as well. The Tampa Bay Man says the movement to bring Scientology down isn't going anywhere. It's only getting bigger. I agree with you there. Angela Von Halley says, how can a third party own your information? Here in Europe or in Switzerland, your information belongs to you, even if stored somewhere else or in a hospital. Well, I'm assuming that what you're referring to here has to do with the pre-clear folders that we were talking about a little bit earlier in the stream. And it has to do with contracts and the fact that in order to participate in Scientology services, you have to sign away your right to own your own pre-clear folders. So once you go, by the time you're actually going into session and being recorded in your auditing session, you have already agreed that the recording that comes out of that session is going to be owned by the Church of Scientology and not by you. So that's how they are unfortunately able to get away with it. But good question. Thank you for asking, Angela. Dia says live_Danny. So it sounds like that's where we can find that Spicy Eyes song. Maybe I'll have to learn that before I get out there tonight so that I can have some fun serenading folks on the streets tonight. Jenna P says, I saw one of the Jane Does reposting protest content. We can only hope they join the protests. You know, if they do decide to join, that would be really awesome. We would be happy to support them out there. But also, I don't want to put any pressure on them to do something that they're not comfortable with, because the Jane Does, we're talking about survivors of some pretty horrific trauma. And I don't want to put any pressure on anybody to do things that they are not comfortable with, particularly when they relate to their own trauma. So we'll see. We'll if they do decide to come out, that's great. But if not, if they just want to support us from afar and post when they have things that they want to add to the conversation, that's totally acceptable as well. But thank you for the comment, Jenna. Nisa says, comment, can other people have a turn? Oh yeah, totally. I'm doing my best here to go through and get as many comments as I can. I hope I haven't been missing comments, but yeah, if there's anything else that you wanted me to address in the chat, feel free to let me know, Nisa. I do appreciate you being here. Dustin Fountain says, I met Tommy last week at Flag. Fantastic. That's awesome. I know that he was having some fun streaming with Reese and Aaron out in Clearwater. So awesome. Awesome. Cat1137 says, REM Arts, you explained it best. Yeah, I love to see all the people in the chat who have their unique approaches and wealths of knowledge to share with everybody. Tampa B Man says, Angela, it's a religious privacy thing here in the US. Yeah, there's that, and then also, of course, those contracts that they're forced to sign really give Scientology a lot of power over them. Eyes to See 33 says, Jacob, you do an amazing job covering the ex-Scientology news. Thank you. I'm going to tell everyone about you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you helping me get the word out there. TJ says, comment, I think you will like Pearl Snappy. Great sense of humor, and she sings parody songs about the Church of Scientology. Oh, I am going to have to check that out then, because that sounds right up my alley. That's awesome. Mandy McGee says, have you looked up the stats on the IRS revoking tax exempt? It seems very hard to revoke it. They haven't done it often in history, so it feels like a huge ask, but there is a first for everything. Yeah, it's something that there's not a whole lot of precedent there because it's not something that really happens a whole lot. But I do think that this is a case where there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that Scientology has abused their tax exempt status and that it has enabled them to get away with crimes and get away with activity that is in violation of public policy. So I'm hopeful that we will see some changes to the norm here, and that we will all be able to see the day that the IRS does choose to revoke the Church of Scientology's tax exempt status. But we may have some time before we get there, but we can hope for the best. Angela Von Halley says, religious privacy. A religion cannot own your information in Europe, neither. Yeah, I'm not very knowledgeable about the law in Europe, in different countries in Europe, so I can't comment too much on that, but thank you for letting us know. Jamie S. says, Pearl Snappy's parodies. Yes. Well, it sounds like this is something that I have got to check out now. Thank you for letting me know. And good to see you in here again, Jamie. It was nice to meet you recently, and I appreciate you joining the live. Eyes to See 33 says, it would be great if those Scientology documents were nullified. That would be an incredible precedent if that were set, that these documents could become voided, so that people are not bound by manipulative contracts that they signed into years ago. Many of us would love to see that, I'm sure. Juju Superfine says, jonesing for some Aaron myself. Yeah, I do hope that he's starting to feel better. It's been a while without a stream from him. Juju Superfine says, Kansas City. Yeah, that's where Relatable Reese lives, as has been established. Thank you to those of you in the chat who have helped us out with that. Eyes to See 33 says, religion is what they hide behind. That does unfortunately enable the church to get away with a lot of unethical activity. Eyes to See 33 says, YW. I'm not sure if I know what that means. If that's an abbreviation, yeah, I don't know. Laura Font says, Juju Superfine's right. Serious withdrawals. Appreciate all the other creatures picking up the slack. Yeah, we've got so many community members out here now that even if there's one streamer who we don't get to see for a few days, it's true. There are plenty of others who are keeping the momentum going and keeping the movement alive and well. Cat1137, Pearl Snappy is my favorite. Lots of love for Pearl Snappy in here. Yeah, I'm going to have to check her out some more. Dustin Fountain says, Seattle is too far. I'd rather go to LAX. Well, yeah, whenever you want to come on out here, we'll be in touch, I'm sure. And it would be a pleasure to meet more folks out here if more folks choose to make the trek out to LA. Are You Jellin says, Jacob, do you have an email? Yeah, Jacob A. Harkey at gmail.com. That's JACOB AHARKEY at gmail.com. If you are looking to get in touch with me, you can feel free to reach out to me there. I should probably make a banner with that on it so that it's easier for me to post that up on the pin it on in front of me right here on the stream. But that'll be something for me to do before my next stream. So I'm glad that I thought of that. Thank you for the question. And yeah, that's JACOB AHARKEY at gmail.com for anybody looking to get in touch. Mandy McGee says, Dustin Fountain, I want to get to LA too. I would have gone to the one on the 24th, but I am going somewhere in March and need the money for that. That does unfortunately tend to be a limiting factor is funds when it comes to making travel plans. But I hope that you're able to make it out here some point, at sometime soon. Mandy McGee says, I will be near Philly in March and April, so if anyone wants to meet up there, I can. Well, thank you for letting us know. If there's anybody in the chat who will be in those areas, yeah, feel free to hit up Mandy. It sounds like she's looking to build some community in the SPTV world. REM Art says the IRS had already revoked it once, so they can do it again. That is correct. When Hubbard was still alive, there was a point where they had tax exempt status, and it was revoked because, if I'm not mistaken, it became evident that funds acquired by the Church of Scientology were going to Hubbard himself. So, yes, you're right. If they've done it before, they should be able to do it again. Oh, yes. YW, you're welcome. I think you're right there. That's got to be what it is. Thank you, Mandy. Laura Font says creators darn fingers and autocorrect, excuse me. Yep, autocorrect can get the best of me sometimes as well. And M says, hopefully I'll meet a few of y'all in Austin. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to make it out there for that one, but DOA and Pearl Snappy will be there. So yeah, if you're going to be out there, it sounds like you'll be in good company. Tampa B Man says, I liked creatures. And Pippi Longstocking says, hello, everyone. Hello, Pippi. And big thank you to everybody who tuned out today and was active in the chat. We had some good conversation in here. I've had a lot of fun reading through the chat and getting to interact with you all. And it is coming up on 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I will probably be heading up to Los Angeles before too long so that I can meet up with some other folks in the Squirrel Squad, and we can hopefully have some fun out there on the streets tonight. But in the meantime, see a few more comments that have come into the chat. Tampa B Man says, hi, Pippi. Pippi Longstocking says, and M, awesome that you're going to Austin. Absolutely. Mandy McGee says, I will email you. Yes, please do. I would love to hear from you all. And with that, I will be out on the streets tonight, so you can expect to see some more of me later on. I hope everybody has a great and safe rest of your day. Fluffer Squirrel UK says, have fun, stay safe. Thank you so much. Tampa B Man says, thanks, Jacob. See you next time. Cat1137 says, first time watching, great show. Put on my notifications. Thank you. That's awesome. Mandy McGee says, last time I was in LA, I was in the Venice Beach area. Next time I want to go more toward Orange County. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that would be great if we get to meet up that time. And M says, I live here. Mandy McGee, have a good day. All right. I will see you all soon. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.